Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, you must become the victor. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, DEI was dealt a massive blow by Donald Trump, and we're going to talk about it today. So, for those who don't know, there is a lawyer named Harmeet Dillon who is very, very much against DEI and ESG and a lot of these other things. And she's a lawyer, and Donald Trump has put her in charge of the quote-unquote civil rights division of the Department of Justice. Now, what does this mean? Well, we can watch this video going over it. I think this is absolutely crucial in the fight against DEI and ESG and Bridge or whatever it wants to call itself next. But this all-encompassing cult, this discriminatory set of views held by these left-wing freaks that have helped to destroy entertainment and, hurt our culture, this is definitely a step in the right direction. And I think that this is a very white pill moment. This is a great pick by Donald Trump. And so without further ado, let's give this a watch.
Well, so if you wanted to pick like the most extreme possible attorney to put in charge of the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department to sort of reverse DEI, it would be this lawyer named Harmeet Dillon, who's been a California lawyer who's been, the scourge of woke corporations for the last decade. As it happens, she has just been appointed to run the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department. And for the people who don't track this, the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department is the federal government, basically prosecutorial arm that basically enforces wokeness. They're the ones that basically have made sure for the last decade that all these companies have all these crazy policies under penalty of being investigated, subpoenaed, ultimately prosecuted. And by the way, there have been lots of prosecutions, lots of court cases. The most famous case that the current head of the Civil Rights Division brought was the case against SpaceX for not hiring enough refugees. Right. Notwithstanding that SpaceX is a military contractor and is not permitted to hire non-American citizens under a separate law. And so the person running that has been a true activist, as you'd expect from this last administration. Yeah. And then Ms. Dillon, who, by the way, I don't know, but I've been following for years and is clearly brilliant. She's the exact opposite of that. And so every sort of signal is, I don't want to speak for this new administration, but every signal is being sent that they're going to basically do a 180 on all these things. And they are going to begin prosecuting companies for violations of civil rights laws in the form of reverse discrimination, which is to say discrimination against variously white people, Asians, Jews, and many other, the unprotected classes, as they say.
Yeah.
Right. And so signals are being sent by the appointments that there is going to be an assault that's going to be the reverse of the assault that companies have been under and universities have been under. And then, of course, the Supreme Court, ruled not that long ago that private universities are not allowed to do race-based admissions. And it's actually really funny because there's some question as to whether the demographic shift of admissions in the last year was starkly different than the year before as these institutions claim that they're coming into the compliance with the Supreme Court. There's some question as to whether discovery would show that they're actually in compliance or whether they're still playing games. So that's another thing we may find out here. And then there's a very open question as to basically whether essentially de facto that decision already has been made or will be made for private companies as well. And there's a lot of private companies that have been trying to figure out quietly how to kind of dismount from DEI for actually both reasons, for legal reasons and for cultural reasons. And now there's another sort of very interesting thing that's kicking in, which is there I think are a lot of large companies where basically they were already basically done with DEI to start. They were done with DEI for their own reasons, which is, it's backfired in many spectacular ways. But now they have any large company that wants to dismount from it now has the best reason in the world, which is we need to be compliant. We right?
It's right? Illegal.
Because it's illegal. And by the way, let me just state for the record, I think every major corporation in the country is just in flagrant violation of actual written civil rights law. You cannot have these hard quotas and basically all these racially and ethnically and religiously biased, hiring. Right. It's just flat out illegal. And these companies basically all went so extreme on this that they ended up in what I think is clearly mass illegality. And so as Miss Dillon kind of kicks in her job, let's say she's not going to lack for a shortage of targets. And so if you don't want to be a target, it is a great kind of, get out of jail free card to just voluntarily shut all this stuff down. And my guess is starting pretty quickly here. I mean, we're already starting to see it, right? So Boeing and a bunch of other, companies have already put a bullet in their programs. And even the University of Michigan, which kind of went like completely bananas for this stuff, actually shut their whole thing down. So I think we're going to see, my guess is we're going to see a run of companies that are going to take, quite dramatic action here.
Yeah, that is completely and totally true about the companies violating the law and doing it flagrantly so. And people are like, well, if it's illegal, if it's illegal and it's not enforced, then is it really illegal? Well, yes, but it doesn't matter. These corporations have been allowed to get away with murder for far too long. And so bringing in somebody like Harmeet Dillon, I think it's a tremendous win. It is fantastic. And I hope that a lot of these gaming companies are looking at this and going, okay, so this woke shit isn't working. Concord failed. It cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. Marvel Rivals is doing phenomenally well. It's a fun game. The microtransactions are cosmetic, which, I think is the way that it should be in the first place. If it's a free game and you want to charge, money for cosmetic microtransactions, fantastic, that's fine. But the reality is that Marvel Rivals, the female characters look hot and the male characters look masculine and badass. Who would have thought that that would be such a successful combination in addition to everything else? Because aesthetics do matter. And I think that guy is absolutely right. I think a lot of these companies are going to duck out of this because not only is it not popular anymore, but there can definitely be a downside to your company. Bud Light, holy shit. Bud Light has spent the last couple years in purgatory because of what it did with Dylan Mulvaney. Now, I think that companies will still embrace wokeness because you got a bunch of virtue signalers and freaks and other retards there that will, not let go. But it's such a win. Harmeet Dillon is such a win in that role. And I think she's going to be a fierce fighter against that shit. It's just, I'm optimistic. It would be nice to get entertainment back on track where you didn't have, a show where it's just so completely ridiculous that, what did you do now? Oh, what's that? What's his name? What's his name? James Jonah Jameson? Oh, yeah, we turned him black for the Netflix adaptation. It's like, there's so much of that in entertainment over the last couple of years. It'd be nice to get back to some normalcy. And I'm hoping that, I hope you won't take this the wrong way. I hope she takes a couple scalps. Harmeet Dillon. Yeah, I realize she's Indian. Wrong kind of Indian. I hope she takes a couple scalps. I hope she makes a couple very, very, very public examples where she goes in so hard that these companies realize that you're not going to be able to violate the law. I'm hoping that she goes after Disney first, to be honest. I'm hoping that she just absolutely bends them over the table. And Bob Iger has to put in the ball gag and, the safe word is Mickey Mouse. I'm hoping that she goes in raw, no rubber, as they say. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that good things are on the horizon. There are many times where I do videos and I'm talking about things that have gone wrong, but I think that we're at the tail end of that. I do. I'm hopeful. I think that what we're going to see in the next coming years is, I think that Avowed is going to come out. I think that Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to come out. in February, and I think that those games are going to get absolutely savaged. I think they're going to get absolutely pilloried, and the sales are going to be abysmal, and those are going to be the last remnants of the woke DEI culture. I think that in 2025, we're going to see the end of Ubisoft. I don't mean that the company is going to completely shutter and that they're not going to make games anymore, but the Ubisoft that we once knew is going to be gone. That's my take. And I think that ultimately, when we look at this topic, there's going to be a shifting in the cultural conversation. There's going to be a shifting in the way that these corporations speak with audiences. I'm thinking that things might be turning around. Now, I'm not just a naive optimist, but looking at this, I don't think corporations are going to fight too hard. I think they see the writing on the wall. I think they realize that they messed up, but they're too far in at this point. And yeah, it does give them a good out, saying, look, we want to be compliant. We want to be in line with the new laws. We can't really go our own way. It's costing us money and reputation and stuff like that. And Trump, he's not afraid to put taxes and tariffs and levies and liens on companies if they don't comply with the law. And it is the law that you're not allowed to have quotas. That's discrimination. So, ladies and gentlemen, more good news. It's looking like 2025 is going to be a good year. I have a feeling. I think 2025 is going to be a good year. But we'll see. Who knows? But I want to thank all of you for watching, for supporting the channel. The support has been overwhelming. It's crazy to see. Especially at this time in my life, it means a lot. It's incredibly heartwarming to see so many people have a place that they can come and just say whatever they want, for positive or negative. And let me just say this, because this is gonna make my blood boil and piss me off. I had a guy on Twitter track me down, say, "Hey, you asshole! Why did you delete my comment on your YouTube thing, pussy?" Never seen this guy before. Didn't know who he was. Had absolutely no clue. And I said, "Dude, I didn't delete your comment. I don't delete comments." "Oh, I found my comment." Apparently it's a thing. Apparently when people post it, apparently YouTube does something with it. And so people think that I'm deleting comments. I have never deleted comments, never will delete comments, because it's far more entertaining for me to, first of all, use you for material. But also, if your comment is stupid enough, I'm just going to make fun of you. I'm going to call you retarded because what you said is likely retarded. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the support. I do. My channel has grown over the last couple months in ways that I couldn't have imagined. The support financially has been incredible. And I will continue to mention this every time because, people giving of themselves, people giving up their hard-earned money, it's humbling. It is, because I understand the value of a dollar, and I say this all the time, but that's because a lot of content creators don't understand the value of a dollar. They don't get it. Like, they'll get like a $10 super chat and they'll treat it like, oh yeah, this is like a minor, like, oh yeah, it's like that $10. I want you to put that in perspective. $10. Think about what you can get for $10. It's not as much as it was before, but it's like, you've had people that have come into my chat and dropped $10, and I'm thinking like, $10, you go to the grocery store, you buy a thing of eggs, you buy some cheese, like $10, that food can go a long way. Like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And so it's like, it's always incredible to me um, that people would give of themselves, of their very work and sweat and effort to support my channel. It's humbling in a way that it's hard to really put into words without sounding like it's a commercial. Like, but no, it really, really is. It's so fascinating. It's a very, very humbling thing when people do that. Um, but for those who don't, there's a free version as well, and that's just subscribing, and then you get all the notifications. And so if you want to know what the notifications are, it's me just shit posting. That's basically it. Gems like this. A BioWare before where it was a bunch of bros making great games, and then like it became an HR department. And me posting stuff like this. Somebody came in and said that my content is problematic. So, oh, and I still have to do a video on this. Japanese McDonald's. Talking about my Christmas. I got a beautiful vintage Colt 1911. Just beautiful, authentic. It's one of my favorite of my collection. And I also got a real alligator head, which was super cool. Somebody asked, "What do you do with an alligator head?" What do you mean? What do you do with it? It's for display. In my house, I have, I collect animals. Okay, so I got a real bear, a black bear. Full. I'm not talking just the pelt. I've got it taxidermied, big old bear that was shot up here. I've got a deer head. Having an alligator join the mix and stuff like that. Yeah, it's super cool, and the people, my family and friends in my life know me very well. It's a very, very nice thing. That Colt 1911. I don't know if YouTube would demonetize me, but man, I would love to send a picture of that. That thing is so beautiful. Oh man, that thing is so pristine. I love collecting firearms. It's so cathartic and it's so nice, and just, if you've never, look, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but there's something cathartic and peaceful about disassembling a 1911, just listening to some nice music and just cleaning it. Just cleaning your 1911. There's something cathartic and peaceful about it. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.